The amount of times that I come in here just to say something else is insurmountable, but this one has to be said. So I filmed it and I hate it. Like, this sucks, this is annoying, this is going to make everyone hate me. And I'm like toppling with like, don't post it. I mean, in general, it's not the kind of content that I primarily post. It's not what I want to post. I don't think it's incredibly helpful, it seems. So it doesn't, like, I'm not advocating for posting this content, you know? Like, this video really makes me sound like and seem like I'm really pushing for this content to be out there when it doesn't really have to be. It seems that what I'm gathering from it is that it's not super helpful, and that there's other ways to do what I want to do in more helpful ways. And I just made like a whole big old video, and I just did so much, you know, to talk about it. And I think that that was really maybe that's the point. It doesn't have to be like evil, bad, torturing people's lives to just be like, that doesn't really end up being that helpful in the long run. I think it doesn't have to be more than that. Oh, I'm like, don't post this because everyone's gonna hate you. Because even when I listen to it, I'm like, I literally sound so annoying. I don't sound good. Even if people liked me before, like watching this, I just sound annoying. But you know, this is, my thoughts are also like, I am fucking annoying. As much as I hate it, I am. And I am abrasive. As much as I hate it, I am. As much as I hate watching myself sometimes, is how passionate I am. I get so passionate about stuff, especially when I get confused. And I'm like, I just want this to look good. I just want this to be stomachable for people because I don't want anyone to yell at me. You just want to be perceived well, and you've just like really never been perceived well. And it's hard even to be perceived well to other autistic people too. So as much as I think that this video is now, I'm just like, this is so stupid. I don't know. It's not stupid. You know what? All of it had to happen, and all of that thinking and all of that processing had to happen to get me to where I am now. Hi, Medusa. Which is, hi, puppy girl. I still think, and I can, and I do think when I see like people that I think could be autistic, and I see situations that I think autistic people could be in, I can think about it. And I do think about it a lot. Those few times, and I can only recall 2 times. I'm recalling the video where I said that Jojo Siwa could be autistic, and a video I made here on YouTube talking about the Ultimatum Queer Edition, where I talked about those 2 contestants from that, which that was more reality than Jojo Siwa. Jojo Siwa was kind of like celebrity, whatever, I guess. I think those are like the only 2 times where I publicly said things like that. I've thought it a lot more times than I've said it. The reason why I said it in those 2 particular times were because of the opposing media, like what I saw other people saying. It was like so much shit that I was like, okay, wait, well, like, hold on. Because I think that people are just like mean and bully for no reason, and that really bothers me. Like, just bully for no reason. Like, don't bully people. And in the end, it doesn't matter if it's an autistic trait or not. I mean, do autistic people get bullied for a lot of the reasons why people bully people? Yeah. And it doesn't matter if someone's autistic to say don't fucking bully people. But I think I made that connection myself. I'm gonna post this still. I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna post this. Why? Because I took a lot of time doing it and thinking it and editing it. I filmed it like 4 times over a span of a few weeks because I'm like, no, I don't, no, I disagree. No, I think differently now. No, something's changed. No, I added a new video. I think that also, you know, to address it, I guess, just to talk about it, because it is an issue that I know like some of you guys may want me to address and talk about and acknowledge, and I acknowledge it, I see it, and so I think that's fun to bring it up here and talk about it here. Maybe it's something that, you know, you guys have different opinions about and agree or disagree for different reasons, and so I think it's still, you know, something that it's open to discussion too. I want to hear what you guys still think, and this is, you know, a platform to talk about stuff like that. I'm learning that there's a difference to what I think is right and what ends up happening in society. Because what ends up happening is a fact. Even if I disagree with it, it still happens. And I have to and should learn more about society. I just want to be helpful. I want to be helpful. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to be helpful. Thank you for helping me know what is and what isn't helpful. Because at the end of the day, if something isn't helpful, then I don't want to do it. Maybe I'm thinking that it could be helpful to people, but maybe in the grand scheme of things, it's not. There goes this video. It's a lot, so I get intense a lot. I'm autistic, that happens. Thanks. Thank you. Sorry. Thanks. Hi. Good to see you. Let's get started. My name's Paige Layle. I am an autistic and ADHD, etc. human being. That was my finger cracking. I talk about autism and stuff. Oh, and boy, I do. I do that. I'm here today to talk about armchair diagnosing. People do not like it sometimes. I've got some opinions, don't we all? Every autistic person is very different, and we all have the right to our own opinions, and all of our opinions are very valid. Anything that anyone puts online is, subject to criticism and critique. It's art. It's awesome. It's wonderful. I'm so open to critique. My problem is that, the critique that I see of me, I don't agree with. I don't agree with a lot of critique that I get because, most critique that I've seen of me has been something that, just a short little clip of something that I said where, the rest of the video clearly explains what I meant. And then I'm like, well, you're taking that out of context and you need to hold yourself accountable for hearing all of the information. That's not my responsibility for you not listening to me. A lot of time I see critique and people are explaining reasons why I'm wrong and I'm listening to them and I'm like, no, I don't agree with that. I don't think that I'm wrong. People have been getting mad at me lately for armchair diagnosing and for talking about symptoms of autism or any disorder and being like, those are symptoms of a disorder. And typically it's autism. Sometimes it's ADHD. I got both. And those are my two most common things to talk about and show symptoms of and talk about symptoms of. And so it's hard sometimes to be able to differentiate, is this an autism part of me? Is this an anxiety part of me? Is this an OCD part of me? And the answer is, I don't always know because I'm just a person. I'm not a doctor. I'm not studying this. I don't plan to go to doctor school and become a researcher and all this. I just plan on sharing it. I just plan on talking out loud. So now I'm not one for reacting and responding to people's critiques online of me. Why? Because the one and only time I did that, I was absolutely wrong and codependent and wrong. And fucked a lot up. It made me realize that I should never doubt myself ever again and never think that I know less than some random person online again. Could I? For sure. But just blindly accepting that and thinking that, not the way that I'm going to do it. Because Paige, I now go, Paige, you don't know this person that's critiquing you. They could be an 11-year-old. They could be a 55-year-old loser head. You don't know. Why are you valuing and trusting their opinions? Why would I value what someone had to say about me when they don't even know me? It's not accurate to me. It doesn't represent me. It has nothing to do with me, to be honest. The way that people think about me, the reactions that people have to my words, it is not my responsibility, and it has nothing to do with me. Now, people may say, Paige, you are dodging accountability. It is your responsibility. How other people react to the things you do is your responsibility. You are not responsible for anyone's emotional reactions to anything you do or say, actually. You can do or say anything, and you're responsible for what you do or say. That's actually a sign of childhood trauma and neglect. If you are saying harm, you're responsible for that harm. You're not responsible for then someone else committing harm based on that. That's them, Of course, you can say, oh, there's a chain of events. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's, person makes their decision. Yes, of course, were my grandparents traumatized from their parents? Sure, but they still then traumatized my parents. Of course, they were traumatized, but every single person has their own free will and choice to not do hurt. So I guess there's my one counter to just that point in general. Paige, you are responsible for other people. I'm actually not. And no one else is. No, Paige, you have to care what everyone thinks of you. I actually have been undoing that finally at that point, and I feel really good about it. And I actually would recommend that everyone else do the same thing, because that's how we're supposed to live life, actually. But Paige, you have influence. You have lots of followers. You are influencing people, and you need to be mindful of that. Yes, for sure. Yes, but may I counter you? I want to be careful about what I say in general, whether it's one person watching or 1 million people watching. I would say the same things, no matter who's watching.
because I'm autistic and don't believe in, like, you know, the social, do it a certain way because you're in a certain place in society and people view you away. Like, I actually think, fuck that. I actually think that's like a social, stupid construct that I don't agree with. So when people say you have to be away because you have followers, I actively disagree. And I think that we all should like take a step back from that and really not think of influencers or celebrities like they're professionals. Or like if someone has a lot of followers, that means that they have more credentials or more knowledge and know more things. Just because someone's popular doesn't mean they're right. I'm literally, and that's me out loud saying, like, people like me, I could be wrong. Yeah, abso-freaking-lutely. That's what it is. Just because people follow me, that might mean they agree with me. The more followers I have, like the more degrees I have. No, that's not how that works at all. What's going on, Paige? What are we doing? Like, where'd this come from? Okay. If you guys have been around for a while, I think it's been like my whole shtick, honestly, for these last like 4 years that I've been here, that I care a lot about talking about autistic traits. I like to share autistic traits, and I like to, now more than ever, talk a little bit more about like my personal life, or just about like things I see in life that I'm like, that's an autism trait. And I just want to point this out because I want us all to be more consciously aware of autistic traits in real life, in ourselves and in other people. I'm seeing recently some like clapback from this to me, and people saying like, we've been bugging you about this for a while, Paige. You need to be held accountable for this. So when someone says like, you need to be held accountable for this, what that means to me, and tell me if I'm wrong and you think anything else, but accountability to me means that like something happened and someone needs to take responsibility for it. So when people say you need to take accountability for this, I'm like, alrighty, what happened? What's the bad that happened? So throughout this video, I'm going to go over some of the bad that people have been saying, like why this is bad, why you shouldn't do this. I think people use like the word accountability when they don't really mean it. I feel like a lot of people sometimes just mean like hold you accountable, as in like you have an opinion that I don't like, that I would like you to have a different one. And because we're both autistic, we should obviously both have the same opinions about everything. I'm gonna start off though with the big one. People got really mad at this. I'm gonna talk about Jojo Siwa. Big buzzword. Will I get some views from that by just saying that? Jojo Siwa rebrand. I don't fucking care. Everyone's making videos about Jojo Siwa. I was seeing so many videos about Jojo Siwa. And between me and you, internet, I have personally always thought that Jojo Siwa was autistic. Especially ever since I learned that I was autistic. Watching Dance Moms again, I'm like, oh, would you look at that? We do a lot of similar things. Anyway, I kind of have like this log in my head of just like what autism looks like. I've been doing it for so long and saying it for so long. I've got a pretty good, like, memorizable pattern. Now, of course, there's controversy about that, absolutely, and we will continue to talk about that, okay? I'm just talking about right now, I in my own personal Paige Layle opinion, have thought for a long time that there's a possibility that Jojo Siwa is autistic. Now, because I have to say this, I'm going to try not to get frustrated because this really does frustrate me, that I have to say things or else people will just assume. I have to say this out loud. People are picking apart Jojo Siwa for lots of reasons. Lots of reasons that I don't care about. Lots of reasons that are legit. And lots of reasons that are anti-autistic. Facts. 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 I'm seeing videos of people calling her out for being a dick. And then I'm seeing other videos, or even in the same videos, of people just like making fun of what she wears, making fun of how she talks, making fun of her expressions. And I'm like, you know what? I understand that people love to make fun of people they don't like and love to make fun of people that they view as like bad people. I get it. But when you make fun of autistic traits, it doesn't matter who the person is that you're making fun of, because you then are making fun of every single autistic person who has that trait. One thing that I also thought we knew that I'm going to say is that autistic people can be bad people, and they can still and are still very deserving of critique. And you should and can critique autistic people without being anti-autistic, without being ableist. You can call out people for the things that they've done and not bully them for being autistic, not pick on them. So I made a video saying that I don't like when I see people making fun of Jojo Siwa, and just like for traits that I honestly see as autistic traits. And especially as someone who relates to like all of those autistic traits, seeing those videos, especially by creators that I admire, because I'm really, of course, I'm into the left wing side of politics and what's going on in this world. So I'm watching these videos and I'm seeing creators who I really care about that are doing good justice, then are being anti-autism, then are making fun of me. And I'm like, that sucks. I don't want to be made fun of in this JoJo Siwa video. No autistic person deserves to watch these videos and be made fun of. Like, I don't care about JoJo Siwa. I care about autistic people. And if JoJo Siwa is an autistic person, then oops, that's not saying I care about JoJo Siwa. That's still me saying I care about autism and I care about autistic people and I care about not bullying autistic people for being autistic. I don't care about if they're a super bad person. Still don't bully them for being autistic. There's no reason to be oppressive when you don't like somebody. Like, that just throws everything back. And so that's why I said what I said. I said the words making fun of because to me, people joking about how someone looks, talks, speaks, their eye contact, their tone of voice, like that's all making fun of stuff. Saying like you did harm and you are harmful. That's not making fun of. It's funny, guys. It's funny, right? Jokes are funny. They're funny. It's also anti-autism. And you can say, oh, take a joke, whatever. Like, that's fine. I'm just letting you know. Fully. Especially if you want to have a strong argument. Because I hear your argument, and as soon as you make fun of autistic traits, I'm like, oh, you're a loser. You don't know anything. Because here you are just going back on everything. The world's problems are intersectional. You can't just like throw in a screw autism in there just because you don't like JoJo Siwa. That's okay if people didn't think about that at first, and if people feel a little bit bad for that. That's why I said it. People are totally fine making fun of people for being weird and cringy and awkward and dressing different and being different. People are so good at making fun of that until I say that's likely autism. Because now people are mad that they can't make fun of it. Understood. I still stand by that video. I know that people think that it's really stupid or something or don't like it. I still stand by it. I'll tell you the reasons why people don't like it too, other than the ones that we just talked about. Lots of other reasons why people don't like it. Let's get into it. Are you armchair diagnosing someone, Paige? Am I sitting in an armchair and talking about the potential that someone has a disorder? Potentially. Am I talking about traits of a disorder and saying that those are traits of a disorder? Yes. Armchair diagnosis, that's just a funny way of saying you know things and are saying them out loud to other people. First problem, Paige, you don't know JoJo Siwa. You can't be saying this. Hey, you're absolutely right. I do not know her, never met her. All I know is from what I see on TV and from whatever she shows in the media, which is that her authentic self? Never, because that's not what happens. That's okay. I am not trying to diagnose JoJo Siwa with autism. I'm not a doctor. You're absolutely right. I do not have any professional ability to diagnose people. That would be messed up if I was a professional and saying, JoJo Siwa was autistic because of these 3 things that I saw, and therefore I'm diagnosing you with autism. That would be messed up if I was a doctor doing that. Instead, I'm a person who knows things because I have experienced them my personal self in my own personal life. Can I think about that? Yes, I can. Can I notice it in other people? Absolutely, I can. Now, the problem is people don't like me saying it out loud, I think. People don't like when you say it out loud. So some of the reasons why people don't like it when I say it out loud is because they think, well, you don't know JoJo. It could be other things. Who do you think you are? Like a doctor just saying things like you could be spitting shit. You could be very wrong. It could be lots of other things. It could be ADHD. It could be hyperthyroidism. It could be a B12 deficiency. Literally, people were commenting these things on my video, and I'm like, are you not armchair diagnosing worse than I am? Like, at least I was talking about something from my own personal experience that I have, that I see. I think you just looked up stuff to try to counter me, to try to say, actually, it could be a symptom of all of these things. Okay, doctor, stop being a doctor and providing medical advice to these people. You're not, though. You're just talking. I get that, because normal people can know things, especially about their own condition that they live with. 100%. They can know things. And I'd actually argue a lot of the times more than doctors do. So I don't even care about, like, you're not a doctor. Do you think that any doctor, how many doctors know more about autism than the autistic person? In my personal opinion, that argument of, like, you don't have the qualifications, like, you don't have the certifiable knowledge, you haven't been certified to know this knowledge yet, therefore don't talk. No, Disagree. Everyone should talk. Lots, actually. You're spreading misinformation. Here's where we disagree. I don't think that I am. I think I'm actually pretty accurate. Pretty accurate in saying, like, those could be autism traits. But let's say that I'm wrong. Let's say I'm completely off. I will tell you that I never intend to be completely off. I always intend to tell the truth, and I think that I am. So if there's ever a time where I say that this is an autism thing that I, an autistic person, experience, and it might not actually be an autism thing. It turns out that, doctors stitched it and they said, actually, that's an ADHD thing, or that's an anxiety thing, or that's an OCD thing. Was I wrong by saying it was an autism thing? Yeah. Was I wrong by saying that's an autism person's experience? Nope. On average, autistic people have 5 comorbidities. I don't think I know one person that just has autism. I feel like if you're diagnosed with autism, half the time, like anxiety and OCD and CPTSD, like they just come along with it. So even if I say something that I think is an autism experience and I'm wrong, it's still an autistic experience. And that's not that wrong. That's still talking about traits or symptoms that I experience in my real life autistic life that other real life autistic people could probably also experience, or other people that aren't autistic could also experience it too sometimes. And I see where some people can get upset with that. Like, that might just be a normal person thing. Well, of course, autistic people are people. So there's going to be lots of things that we do that are just human. That's important to talk about too. And if I'm wrong, out of strict curiosity and sharing, I'm okay with being wrong and bringing that out there and just saying it so that we can figure out how to be right. There's a shit ton that I don't know about my own brain and this disorder. And there's a shit ton that no one knows about our brains and this disorder. And I want to know more. I haven't connected with autistic people like this ever. And this is such an amazing, I cannot believe that we live in this world where autistic people can just safely exist and talk in a community. Like, what the heck? We found each other. That is absurd. I'm okay with being wrong sometimes. I'm okay with being like, I experienced this and I think it's this, and what the fuck? Do you guys feel this or what? You don't have the credentials. Yes, I do. I argue. I can definitely talk about my own life and my own life experiences. You do not need to be a doctor to do that. You do not need to be a doctor to suggest that other people may go see a doctor. You don't need to be a doctor to say, hey, I have a disorder and this is what it causes me to do. And if someone else feels that and relates to that, if they want to go see a doctor from there, fucking good. So let's go back to the whole, like, me saying things that are wrong, okay? Because I want to go with that angle. So personally, between me and you, I've expressed that I don't think that I say wrong things, but I'm going to the point of Paige says wrong things. Paige hurts people. Paige says wrong things and that hurts people. I go to, how does that hurt people? What happens to people at the end of the day who hear that? And autistic people, like who are people that are affected by what I say negatively and what happens as a result of that? So I think about it. I think of, like, what do I say? So, like, some things I say, I'm like, okay, well, these are autistic traits, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to imagine the worst that could come from that. Some people say, well, Paige, you're encouraging other people, you're normalizing your followers to then diagnose people with autism. And I mean, like I said, we cannot hold anyone responsible for the actions of other people. We can only hold them responsible for their actions. So me doing something and showing that I'm doing it isn't asking or suggesting other people to do it too. If they do it, if people look at what I'm doing and are inspired to do it, is that my fault? If you want it to be my fault, okay. It's also their fault. But if we're putting it on me, that's okay. I'm okay with that. Say that someone heard me say that XYZ was an autism trait and it wasn't. Someone heard that, they then think, I do that, I might be autistic. Then they think I might be autistic. Then the worst thing, okay? Then I think, like, what's the worst thing that could happen in that situation, okay? Because the best thing that could happen is that person learns a lot about autism. They go to a doctor, they get diagnosed with autism, their life changes forever, they don't kill themselves. What's the worst thing that could happen? The person's not autistic, they think that they are. They don't look at autism at all. They don't look into it. They just strictly trust me, go with what I say. See, that's the thing. If you're autistic and you hear what I say, you're not just going to trust me. You're going to look and you're going to research and you're going to talk to a doctor. That's the beauty about finding autistic people. If someone's not autistic and they just hear a few things that I say, they might go, "Oh, I'm autistic." And they might think that they are. They might say it out loud and people might go, no, or yeah, or then people have they might think that something's autism when it's actually not, and then one day they just get like re-educated and told like, oh, that was actually ADHD, and they go, oh, okay, cool, at least it was a disorder or something that I know about, or at least like, oh, cool, just a human trait that I know about that I thought was autism for a bit because someone told me it was, and it's actually not. Okay, like what's the harm? Or okay, harm someone else thinks it's normal and okay, and they think that for some reason that I just go up to people and say that they're autistic. Never in my life have done that. But let's say that happens, and some 11-year-old watches my video, and they're like, well, if Paige Layle can do it, then obviously I also know the same amount and can also do it. And they see someone and they're like, that looks like autism. And let's say they go up to the person and they go, hey, you could be autistic. Let's say they offer no nuance. They go, you're autistic. I'm just trying to think of like literally the worst thing. They go, you're autistic to this person. Worst case scenario, that person's not autistic. They get really fucking mad and punch them in the face or something. I don't know. That's the worst. And then that's just ableism, and I don't have any sympathy for that person. Worst comes, or they go like, or the person thinks like they're getting made fun of or insulted, which again, ableism, I don't have that much compassion for. Maybe the person goes, okay, and then it's nothing and they don't care. Or maybe the person goes, oh, and then maybe they look into autism. Maybe when they look into autism, they realize like, no, I don't think that's me. But that's good information to have for the rest of my life because I'm probably going to meet an autistic person at some point. It's good to know what to look for and how to interact with autistic people. Best case scenario, that person then goes and gets diagnosed with autism. Like, I'm trying to think of the hurt at the end of the day in people's homes when they hear this, when they see this, what is their impact? At the end of the day, it might make autistic people feel slightly uncomfortable because I didn't use exactly the proper words to describe my experience, but I was still having a very authentic, real talking about a real experience that I, an autistic person, experience. People have also said that there's harm in doing this because I am a professional. Like, you're a professional, you have to abide by professional standards. No, I'm not a professional doctor, professional autism evaluator. Like, no, I'm professional at a few things, but going to med school is not one of them. The most I can do is talk about it and say, hey, maybe you want to look at that in other places, maybe. And because, Paige, you are an autism advocate and you are autistic, you have authority, people trust you and value your opinion, you need to be professional. You're right about some things there, that I do know a few things about what I'm talking about, and that makes me more confident to speak about this because I know that I know what I'm doing and what I'm talking about. I'm not talking out of my ass. And I know I'm also not a doctor. I'm speaking from my experience. I definitely do not have to abide by the same levels of standards as a doctor. I'm just an influencer. There's no way that we should be thinking that celebrities and influencers are doctors, or like that they have the same they have the same education or whatever. My doctor has no followers on Instagram. I got way more followers than he does, but he knows more than I do about doctor things. I don't want to be a professional. I don't know how to be a professional because I've never trained to be one. I could be professional if I learned how to, but I've never gone to school for that. I don't want to. The professionals have failed me and a lot of autistic people all our lives. I don't like the rules and the guidelines. I don't like how professionals need to keep their mouths shut when they see children and people hurting because they have to like be careful of what they're going to risk and breach. I don't have that problem. I can talk about it as much as I want. That this person now, like, people are watching you, have a responsibility. I know that you would like that. I know that followers would like that. They would like famous people to be perfectly beautiful, wonderful role models and be like, I now am in charge of a lot of people. I'm going to act exactly like a leader that you people want me to be. I'm going to listen to what you want. This is a country, this is a business, this is a corporation. We share ideas here. I care about the betterment of the company and what the company wants and what people think is socially acceptable here. Really? Does that sound like me? I'm definitely used to it now where people treat me like a business and like a company, and they want immediate access to me. They want immediate communication with me. They want answers. They feel like I have a negative review on your product, which is just me talking, you know? I now am understanding and am shifting to being a businesswoman so I can make money off you schmucks. But even still, I'm being a businesswoman, whatever. That's the only thing I'll be professional at, is running a business. I'm still not going to be professional autism doctor. But here's the beauty about not being a professional but still knowing a shit ton about it, is I might be just like the most qualified person to say, hey, that could be autism. And guess what? I'm not the only person. We all actually could be just as qualified as me. We could learn more than me. Just any layman can learn about autism. Any layman can learn about autistic traits and study them, especially if you're autistic and it could become a special interest of yours. Then you get really into learning about autism. You might lead someone to get a false diagnosis, or to think that they're autistic when they're not, or to get diagnosed with autism when they don't have autism. Why would the doctor be wrong just because I recommended them? Yeah, they wouldn't, right? Let's say I'm wrong. Let's say I'm talking out of my wazoo. I go, look at you, you're hopping on 2 feet. That's an autism thing. Hop on 2 feet around, that's autism. You're autistic, bro. You're autistic. Then all of a sudden they go to the doctor because they took all that time and energy and money, you know. They didn't look at autism in any other way. They just heard what I said. They're like, that's it. I'm now going to the doctor. They maybe waste a little bit of the doctor's time. Apparently, no. The doctor's like, you are autistic, actually. I'm diagnosing you with autism. Why would the doctor's a professional. The doctor would have to be the professional one and figure that out. That's not on me if they get misdiagnosed by a doctor. Literally, tell me that has ever happened. That I have said one thing, someone's felt like it is them, it is autism. They looked at nothing else to do with autism, just that one thing I said. They went to the doctor. That doctor then diagnosed them with autism. And has that ever happened? And if it's happened, if it's happened to 20 people, I'm going to say that's probably max 20 people out in this world that because of me have been diagnosed with autism when they're not autistic. What's the worst thing that can happen there? What, they might spread a little bit of misinformation that isn't that harmful because there's probably actually something like a disorder going on with them. And if someone diagnosed them with autism, like who gets diagnosed with autism that doesn't have autism? Has that happened too? See, like my brain is going so fast and I'm just thinking into all these reasons. I'm hearing people say like, you can't do this, Paige, and this is why, and this is why. But I'm like, and I hear all these reasons and why they are wrong on paper, but in the real life, at the end of the day, at home, in people's hearts and minds, when they're hearing my things, who am I hurting? Who am I hurting other than other autistic people who disagree with me and hate the fact that I have influence and people can have the same opinions as me and they hate it because that means there's more autistic people that don't agree with me? I'm sorry. I'm allowed to talk and people are allowed to like my opinion and agree with it. And vice versa, same thing. Like, dudes, if you don't like what I'm doing, if you think like, Paige, you shouldn't be doing that, like, I'm still going to do it. And I'm going to tell you why. The main reason why I do this, the main reason why I think that this is okay, is because I wasn't diagnosed with autism until I was 15. Being 23 now, I'm like, that's pretty early. But for the first 15 years of my life, it was way too late. I read a stat the other day that said like 40% of people that take their lives are autistic. And that stat just gets me a little, because I try to think of like, I imagine the intersectionality of that. I'm thinking like how many autistic trans kids, how many kids in general, like what are the ages? Oh, you know that lifespans for autistic people are much lower and partially due to suicide. Hearing that there is even a 2-digit percentage and it's almost half of the people that end their life are autistic. I've thought about this for a lot of my life as someone who you tried to end her life multiple times before being diagnosed autistic. I've thought about that. I've thought about friends of mine that have killed themselves and people that have killed themselves, and especially when they were children, when they weren't when they were still under their parents' care. And I think for a few of them, I think that they didn't know. Because if you don't know, you can't get help. That's the first thing, is knowing. The first thing is knowing. And people don't know enough about autism, apparently. When I talk about autistic traits and I say this is an autistic trait, I'm okay with whatever harm comes from that, with whatever harm, any misinformation that comes from that, any time that I waste of people's by having them look into autism, which to me, I don't think that's wasted time. I think that's very valuable time. I want them to take that time. I'm glad I made them take that time. But whatever is the worst thing that can happen to there, I'm going to tell you what the best thing is. And the best thing is thousands of people that are alive now because they know that they're autistic because of me. And every single one of them is me. When I was 15, there's so many of us out there hurting so much, and it's not fair. They shouldn't hurt. We shouldn't hurt. We should know this. Everyone should know more about autism and find us. That's my whole shtick. My whole gig is I want to find undiagnosed autistic people and diagnose them. Not me, but get them diagnosed, point them in the right direction, say, do you know what autism is? Maybe look it up. I'm accountable for all of the misinformation, if there is lots, if there is any, because literally, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure I'm right. I know I don't always use the most perfect of words when I'm speaking. That makes sense, though. Like, we can't just say I'm gonna be perfect with words. I am an autistic person, right? Not saying, like, give me a pass, but most of, like, my words are pretty good most of the time, you know? I may not be as specific as I'd like to be, but this is the internet, and especially, like, a TikTok, I got a minute. My brain is going so fast. I have ADHD. I can't even tell you. I know there's so much that I'm missing. I know there's so much that I'm not verbally sharing out loud that I feel like I have because I've already felt it, and so I feel like it's already been processed. So I know I'm going to watch this too, and I'm going to get mad because there's going to be things that I wish I said. But the biggest thing that I want to say is I'm very okay with talking about traits of disorders, and whatever backlash that gets me, I'm okay with it because I am saving lives. I saw the quote forever ago, be the person that you needed when you were younger. And I'm like, I will be. And I am. I'm really actually fucking proud of myself. I needed me so much when I was younger, someone to say, someone to go, like, this is autism, like, someone to talk about autism. And I'm so happy that I've been that person for people that have now, they're like, I know myself, like, thank you. I can only imagine if that happened to me. Like, all of these people, every undiagnosed person, like, I know, we're all connected, we should all care more about each other than we do. But I know that pain, I know how hard it is, and I know that I wouldn't have survived it much longer. And I know a lot of undiagnosed autistic adults today that are depressed, and that are alcoholics, and that are drug addicts because they need to escape this crazy world. It's so wild to be undiagnosed autistic, like, to be autistic and have no help for it at all. Zero. Because you don't even know that you're autistic. Like, the whirlwind of that. If 1 or 2 people get misdiagnosed with autism, but thousands get appropriately diagnosed because of what I'm saying, I've done a damn good job. I'm proud of myself. I've always been socially unacceptable. I've always been socially inappropriate. I've always been invasive. You're intruding on people's personal lives. Yep, I always have been. That sounds very autism of me. I'm used to it now. Still, I'm used to hearing it from other autistic people too. And I honestly think it's a little bit of ableism that's holding us back. We should talk about things. We aren't, because we're scared. Because people are scared of the social repercussions of someone doing a social no-no. And so everyone can yell at them. That's a social no-no. You're not supposed to do that in society. People say no to that. People don't like that. I know what people say no to. And I say no to that. I know how this world works, and I fucking hate it, and I don't want to operate the same way. I don't operate the same way, so how can I even pretend to? I can't do what I don't think is right. This is right to me. This is right to me. It's okay if you don't think so. You can't change my mind otherwise, okay? 4 years ago, we did not have this. It's like people want me to be embarrassed, or want me, like, to look like a stupid idiot. Like, you look so stupid saying that. Like, do I look like a stupid idiot sometimes? Like, I don't care. It's not about looking like a stupid idiot. It's not about, like, I'm okay with being wrong. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed for saying stuff that I don't know. I'm not embarrassed for reaching out and asking for connection. I'm not embarrassed for asking what I don't know and for being the person that is brave enough to put that out there and get the ridicule from everybody, knowing I'm going to get the ridicule from everyone, allistics and autistic people. If I'm not right, then prove me wrong. Please. I'm proving myself right. We're all proving myself right. What it is we're talking, we're sharing, we have different lives and experiences. We all are so similar, and we know that from sharing, but it's also in sharing that we learn more, not just about autism, but about people, about how autism isn't just about autism, how it's about the person, how it's about how all of us have lived and learned and experienced lives and how we've all grown up. It impacts how autism is expressed in us, how autism is found in us. I want to talk about like celebrities and famous people and just me or anyone thinking that a celebrity or a person could have X disorder and then sharing it online or talking about it online. So the first reason, like the biggest one as to why I do that and why I feel like that's okay and appropriate, people that are in the public eye are constantly getting torn apart and getting shit on. Me being like they could be autistic is the least of their shit that they could worry about. When it comes to that person's like individual independent life, are they going to see my content? Probably not. But let's say they see my content, they're really heavily impacted by it. Like what? They're gonna feel like I made fun of them. That's their fault. You know, that's ableism. I don't have compassion for that. Or what? They're gonna maybe learn more about themselves, maybe get diagnosed with autism and change their life for the better. Okay. If a famous person that I talk about like has autism traits, if they see it, like if that impacts their life at all, I fully hold myself accountable for that. I hope I change your life forever. I appreciate people saying like, this is their life and you can't speculate on their real life. You don't know them. Well, yeah, that's why I'm not diagnosing them. That's why I'm only saying things that I can see, that anyone can see. That's why I'm saying, like, look at these things that we can see. Those things that we can see can sometimes be an indicator that there's autism going on deeper inside. I don't think I'm hurting anybody. I don't think I'm hurting the famous person by doing that. And if they think I'm hurting them, I don't care because that's ableism and you're hurting me by being ableist. So I don't have compassion for insulting you. But, like, you might be autistic. If that's an insult, then you're insulting me because I'm autistic. So I don't care about that, you know? And of course, I'm not diagnosing them. Of course I don't know them. Of course it's just like a persona on social media. I would hope that we all know that. And I would hope that we would all be able to differentiate that and be able to know, like, just because we're seeing autism symptoms and traits doesn't mean it is for sure autism. An autism trait, we can point that out. People can do autism things and not have autism all the time. But a lot of people that do autism things have autism. Or it's like, oh, you were doing like a thing that looks like an autism thing, but it's actually an ADHD thing. Still a thing. When it comes to people in my personal life, I will sometimes come on here and just talk about like experience that I've had in my real life and like with like autistic people or like people that I assume are autistic. Now, I have never in my life gone up to someone and been like, hey, you are autistic, or like, I think you are autistic. I've never gone up to someone. I have, however, said it in other conversations, like with others. Like if we're talking about a person and just like the problems that they have, or like these are the things that they struggle with, like in my head, I might be like, oh, that sounds like autism to me. Well, that's good because I know how to deal with autism. I know how to communicate with autistic people. I'm glad I know that. I'm glad I have that knowledge so then I can tailor my teaching better to this individual. Maybe I'll share with the other person if they're teaching. I might say, so that sounds like some autism things, and as an autistic person, here are some things that I do and that I like in return, how people can communicate with me best to get me out of those stressful situations. And maybe we could try that with this person. It's probably going to work because the way that, like, if you are just neurodiversity affirming in general, being neurodiversity affirming to neurotypical kids is still great. It's still good. You should still do that. So even if the kid is completely neurotypical, I'm going to allow you to move around. I'm going to act like you need all of the accommodations because you deserve it, Brenda. Like, it doesn't matter if you're diagnosed with whatever. If you need to move all the time, I want you to move all the time. I don't need you to have a diagnosis to tell me that that's something that you feel in your body. I've never told someone I think that they are autistic. What I do in my real life and like when I'm around people is I am unapologetically autistic. I talk about what my autism makes me feel or how I do things, what I have trouble with, when I get frustrated, especially with my students that I teach. There are a lot of dancers that are autistic and or have ADHD. I'm autistic and have ADHD. Instead of telling these kids that they're just like Miss Paige, I just am Miss Paige, and the kids figure it out themselves. Talking about autism and autistic traits helps people identify if they are autistic or if someone else is. And I would like teachers, every teacher, every doctor, every nurse, every like professional adult who deals with people to learn about just being neurodiversity affirming, learning about what these people need that's different and accommodating them. And I totally get some people might be like, you're outing autistic people. That's scary. It's not like they're gay. Autism is a diagnosis that has traits that you can tell and tick off a box. You can't do that with being gay. You can notice autistic people if you're looking. With some kids, of course, it's harder than others. But some kids, you can tell right away. And easier than others, depending on who you are and how much you know too. It depends. But I can tell with a lot of kids pretty quick. And I'll just keep that stored in my head and just, keep storing all the information I have in them over time. And as it continues to build, maybe my mind changes and I'm like, maybe it's not autism, but it never has. It's been more proven like, yeah, that looks like autism to me. Looks like autism to me. Looks like autism to me. Autistic people have great pattern recognition. This makes sense as to why I see this. And I'm not alone. I'm autistic. I notice autistic people. Everyone around me is autistic. All my friends have autism and or ADHD. And if people want to get mad at me about that, like that's not false. There might be one person that's neurotypical that's watching this. They're like, oh, I'm neurotypical. Like, okay. They're an outlier. The majority, like most people around neurodiverse people are neurodiverse. That makes sense. It's normal. I want to talk about autistic traits in people that don't matter, like that I don't matter to them, that they don't matter to me, that's not going to impact their life, because I'm going to impact the lives of people that I want to impact. And that is autistic people, people thinking that they're autistic, people that know that they're autistic and just, want help and community and want to know more things about them and also want to not be made fun of too online. I love speculating about like if you see something and you're like, is that autism? I love it. It's one of my favorite things now. And I know I've been doing it so much, but as I've just been learning more and more about autism, I've been seeing more and more autism, but it makes sense where I'm seeing it. I'm not just crazy. I'm not making it up. I'm seeing autism in places where I'm like, yeah, you would see autism there. Like in the acting world, in performance, in musical theater. I've been in musical theater my whole life, and every person who I've been friends with in musical theater, autistic and or ADHD. Yes. I don't care if people think I'm silly for saying these things. Like, unless you are one of these performers, which I am, like, unless you're a performer and can tell me otherwise. Most performers like that, like most dancers, like, oh my God. Who else do you think wants to move around 24/7 in the exact same way? People think I'm like a lunatic. And I'm like, do you not see this? Do you not see these patterns? But it's good though that maybe it's just, I just have to say it out loud. All my life, no one suggested that I could be autistic because no layman knew about autism. It was only doctors. If you don't know that you're autistic, you're not really going to the doctor to talk about autism. So it was that no one knew about autism. No normal, everyday person knew about autism. If one of them did. Imagine if 10 people in my childhood knew about autism. Imagine 1 out of 10 of those people said something. And I'm not embarrassed about people saying something. If you're nervous, that's ableism, okay? I don't have compassion for you if you are embarrassed that I think that you might be autistic. I'm autistic, and so you being offended that I think you could be is ableist and offensive to me, so I don't care. You're offending people. No, they're offending me. I'm trying to help people, and if it's not helpful, okay? I've been that my whole life as an autistic person too. I totally understand. I've been telling the truth my whole life, and people go, well, we don't want the truth. Okay, I do. Sorry, I'm not you, but thank you for letting, Yes, I am autistic. And yes, I know a bit about autism. Just because I know things, people say you shouldn't talk about them. You should be professional because you know things. The people who know the things should actually speak more, not less, on the things that they know. Especially if they have the option to know the things and not abide by the HIPAA laws. I understand that people do not have the same perspective as me. But as someone who grew up with this perspective, this is the one I have. This is the mission that I have. This is what I want. I understand if people don't want it as well. If that's not your mission, you wish that I wasn't doing it. I get it, but I'm sorry. I do exist in this world, and I have talked out loud. And you know what? I've been talking on the internet since I was like 12 on Ask FM. That was my first thing. And then Instagram was my next. But I've been getting followers since I was a kid, just because I am this person who goes online and talks about things that people don't like. And then people have arguments at me and say they don't like it and blah, 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 blah. That's who I've been for half of my life. So I promise you, like, even if you want me to go away, I'm gonna come back and people are gonna find me and I'm gonna keep talking and people are gonna be like, hey, she's got some words to say. Because I do have words to say. And listen, they can be shit. I don't know. I think they're pretty good, but obviously I do. They're my opinion. But they could be shit. But who gets to say that? Who gets to decide that? We all do. All of us, including me, including you. This is actually something that's an opinion. Usually, you know, when people talk about politics and they talk about like, well, it's different opinion. Like, no, not on human rights. We don't have different opinions on human rights. This is an opinion. Like, my opinion is that I want to share more of my story to connect with others. And if your opinion is that you don't want to do that, or you don't think I should do that, like, that's fine. But it doesn't change me and that I am a complete independent person. You guys aren't responsible for me. There's nothing that you can do or say that's going to make me change. That's not your responsibility either. That's another like boundary thing that as autistic people that I know that I struggled with for a long time, is being like, that person is their own person, take them or leave them. If they have an opinion I disagree with, alrighty, I disagree with them. I have never like commented something like constructive on anyone's post ever, because I've never thought this person cares about my opinion. Everyone on social media is getting a lot of shit. You gotta think, like, when you comment shit things, does this person care about your opinion? Why would they care about your opinion? If you're like, you should care about every autistic person's opinion, well, that's just, every autistic person is allowed to have their own opinion about their own autistic self. A lot of autistic people are shit. A lot of autistic people are ableist. A lot of autistic people don't even believe in autism. Do I have to take all of their thoughts into account and accommodate for everybody and now regurgitate information that everyone agrees with? No, absolutely not. I'm not the team leader here. I'm not, who elected me president of the autism committee? I'm not. We're all so different. So different. I don't speak for anybody. Anyone. Me. This is me. I'm not talking on behalf of anybody else. Go listen to other people. I think that's you know what? I think that's the problem. See, I try to find what the problem is from the perspective of others, because I'm like, I don't think this is the problem, because I'm not seeing the problem like in what people are saying. You really shouldn't take people for what they say, because people don't know what they're saying a lot of the time. Take them for what they do. People don't know that, but their actions tell everything. Your words, I mean, you could be lying about everything. You might not even know what you're saying. You might not even know that you're lying. So taking people for what they do, and what a lot of autistic people do when they disagree with me, they panic, I think. I think it's a panic of, Paige has a lot of followers and influence, and if Paige does something that I disagree with, she's going to influence other people to think that that's okay, and I disagree, and it makes me uncomfy. I think that's it. I think what's also always been it is I look this way, okay? I've always looked this way. I've always fucking hated that I look this way, okay? Because no one's ever taken me seriously because of the way that I look. Are you complaining about being pretty? Sure, yeah, I am, okay? Suck my dick. And so here I am on the internet talking about my life experience and my autism, and I totally get it that a lot of people are not going to want to listen to me because I look the way that I do. I mean, like, I don't understand, but I do. I mean, if you really care about autism and you want to learn more about autism, you'll look in multiple different sources for autism information, especially multiple different autistic adults too. If you really want autism information, we probably have different situations. It's very fair. I have not had every single life experience. And I get comments sometimes of people like mad at me about it. I understand I'm not relatable to every autistic person. I don't want to be. That's not like, I'm not a Libra, you know, I'm not trying to make everyone happy. I'm a fucking Leo. I'm here to run my own shit, and I have these followers because that's what happens when you're a Leo and you talk. People are like, hey, that makes sense. And you're like, oh shit. Yeah, do it up. I've always said that every autistic person's opinion is valid, and theirs, and especially when it comes to your own identity, how you want to be, who you want to be, how you want to operate in this world. I I don't want to tell other autistic people that they're wrong, or that like how they feel about themselves isn't okay. I never want to do that. I feel that too, even when I see other like big autistic content creators posting stuff that I don't agree with, and even being ableist, in my opinion. I've never said anything about it. Like, privately to some of like people I consider friends have been like, dude, what's like, I don't like that. What are you saying that for? But I never have just seen like a public figure say something that I disagree with and commented saying like, I disagree with it. I just kind of I kind of just have this feeling that everyone is going to have their opinions, and they're not going to be the same as mine. And all throughout my childhood, I really cared about changing everyone's opinions to make sure they were the same as mine so that I was safe, right? Now, after years of therapy, I'm like, you can't do that. What other people think about you is actually none of your business. You can't control it. People will have their own reactions and feelings that are completely up to them and due to them and what they have encountered in their life, and has nothing to do with you, actually. People are always thinking about them and their thoughts and their life, not you. And your thoughts in your life, people aren't thinking what you're thinking. They're thinking what they're thinking. People say what they're thinking. Most of the comments I see, I'm like, I didn't say those words. You guys did. That's why I'm also like, maybe I should say this out loud, because a lot of times, you know, you see this hate from you. And I have being raised by narcissists and being autistic and being in narcissistic relationships. A lot of my like who I am has just been over the years, and the guilt and the shame that's embedded in me is tremendous. Like, I've been told my whole life that I was the problem and that I was the narcissist and that I was so shit and hurting everyone's feelings. And so when I hear that now, when I hear people you say those things now, it eats me like it did when I was a kid. And I get into like, am I bad? And I have to reflect and like, where are my intentions coming from? Where is this bad that I'm causing? What is the bad that I'm causing here? Because clearly I have a disconnect. Why? I seriously have these in-depth thoughts. I'm not blaming anybody, okay? And that's not what I'm saying. I want to express that this is something I seriously reflect on all the time. When people have critique against me, my dominant thing is like to people please and to fawn and to be like, you're absolutely right, I'm literally a dumbass and you are perfect and I'm going to say everything that you're saying because you know things. Now, Paige, trust yourself. No, because I know that I'm fucking smart. I'm not going to follow anybody and what people are doing because that's what they think is right. I've looked at it a lot, and I still don't think it's right. And there's nothing that I can do to make myself feel differently about this. Like, I seriously feel like I'm doing the right thing. So I'm going to keep doing it. I appreciate you and people looking out for the integrity of an autism diagnosis and making sure that, you know, good, proper information gets tossed around. Like, I respect that. I understand that. I think it just got too heavy and like too blindsided, just kind of like forgot like what we're doing or what I'm doing, like what the message is. And that actually following all of those rules is what has led us into this ableist place. People not talking about autism is what has led us here, into people not knowing about autism. For a long time, I'm getting warm because I've been under the light for a while. I'm sweating. And I think I've said a lot that I've wanted to say. I don't know if I've said everything that I want to say, and that bothers me so much because then I know someone's going to comment about it. I'm going to be like, I should have said that out loud. Okay, so I'm just going to finish with some final words that I think are what I wanted to say and make sure I got out. First thing, accountability is, like when you've done harm. And never mind, because I guess I don't know if am I doing harm? Like, I might be doing little harms. Am I causing people to kill themselves? Am I causing people to am I ruining lives? Like, is the worst that I'm doing ruining lives? Like, I'm not. Stop panicking. Stop panicking. Don't panic. You don't have to panic. You're doing good, Paige. Like, you're doing good. Okay. Other thing, I recommend everyone learn more about autism, enough so that they could communicate with an autistic person differently without having to point it out or say it or have someone say, I'm diagnosed with autism, to not get bullied, to not be thought of as weird or cringe, to be treated like an autistic human person. If I'm wrong, and if I say something that I think is an autism thing, but it actually wasn't, and it was just an experience that I had that was an autistic person's experience with a comorbidity that I have, I apologize for being wrong. I will tell you guys that I will be wrong lots of times. I'm not afraid of it though. There's a lot that we don't know that I want to know because I really, really care about the relationships that we have and our childhoods. I so care about childhood trauma and abuse and neglect and how it impacts everybody, but especially, oh my God, autistic people. No one else has to do this. Just me, okay? No one else has to do this. I can do it. I can take all the shit. Everyone can get mad at me for talking about autism and saying people might be autistic or might have traits of something. And if anyone wants to be mad at me, they can do it to me. Okay? I accept it. I hold myself accountable. If I make you mad, that's just, I made you mad. I made you mad. I made you mad. I take accountability for all of the harm that I've done and all of the misinformation that I've spread. I also take accountability for the thousands of lives that I've saved. I sleep very well at night knowing that there are people that have not killed themselves because of me. And I'm responsible for the millions more that I'm going to save by doing this work. You know, I'm totally okay. People don't have to like me. That's more than okay. But if people are saying anything about me, like ask for proof or be like, where? Or, you know, like where? What did she say? Let's see it. Let's see what she said. Like what'd she say? 10 out of 10 ask for proof. I would like to know the horrible thing I said. I would like to know it. And I would like you to know it too, the horrible thing that I said. I just want to say that if we have the same intent, we are coming at this with the right intent and compassion, and we just want to better our community and help everyone, then I don't care if we disagree. We should be sitting at the same table. We should be pooling our knowledge and sharing with each other our experiences. We're not enemies. We're not against each other. I'm not mad at you. And I really hope that you're not mad at me. And I don't want to feel the societal pressures that people want like influencers and stuff to feel. No, if you want to go to a doctor, go to a doctor. This isn't a doctor page. You're not gonna, go to a doctor. If you want to hear me have opinions about autism in my life and other people's lives and just autism in general and acting in autism and like how life works as an autistic person and how you interact with people, come hang out. Like in real life, I'm actually a little bit different than I am on social media. Don't know if you know this, but on social media, even like right now, like I'm literally just in my room. I'm looking at like the little circle that's green right now because I'm trying not to look at myself in the camera, but like look at the camera hole. My dogs are outside this room right now. I'm sitting down, microphone, I'm really sweaty. No one's here. I've talked to nobody all day. This is just me sitting, hanging out here. But if you and I were in person, this is like my inner monologue. We're talking like kind of as friends here, I'm just trying to like get out my inner monologue to literally my phone. To literally my phone. I know that there's people on the other end of this, but once I post this, it goes into cyberspace. There are now faces I can associate with names from meeting people at like the Autism Social Summit on April 26th, which I'm holding, I'm going to be in Toronto May 22nd, which is a Wednesday. I'm going to be doing my book release thing there. So you can go on my profile if you want to be there for that. It's just an hour and a half. It would be really cool. We're going to hang out and do like book signing stuff after, which my first book signing. Like, what the heck? I'm signing books. But that's in a month. So if you wanted to do that, or in a few weeks. So those people that now I know, I like, we've talked, I've made connections with them. They're not just an autistic person. They have personalities that I now know and care about. Those autistic people, I like them. They've made the effort to connect with me and reach out to me and see me in person. And I'll always see, like, if these people comment on my stuff, I will always see their comments. I'll always like them and reply to them now, because now like I have autistic people that I'm like, yeah, I care about what you got to say, dude. I want to hear your reflections. But when it comes to most comments on anything, I'm not going to be quick to agree with you. I'm just not. And it's not because of you. It's just that you are just a name and a picture and some words on my device, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. You could be like an awful person. You're probably not, but like could be an awful person. People commenting, like you could be literally anything, anyone. I don't know how you live. Like, why would I know if your opinion is better than mine? So finishing this video, goodbye. Thank you for being here. Those are my thoughts, I guess, about the armchair diagnosing. Like, people can armchair anything, you can be like the casual criminalist. I love listening to them, but Simon said he almost called it the armchair criminalist, but he's like, that didn't have a good ring to it. Like, you can learn about anything and not be professional in it, and then just have that knowledge. And then if people want professional knowledge, they then go to professionals. But who's going to be the layman that points it out? It'll be me. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it being me. And if it's invasive and socially inappropriate, that sounds right up my alley. That sounds like even more like me. That's fine. I'll do it. Because one day, I'll be 65 and have this army of autistic people that are like, we know because of Paige. And the fact that it's even one person, I just imagine me. I just imagine it just blows my mind. If I found on the internet someone talking about autism that had similar experiences to me, that looked like me, are you kidding me? Never. When I started doing this and talking about this on the internet, the only person I saw doing stuff was Dan the Aspie World for like the last 15 years. That's how Dan and I first became friends. He was my first ever autism friend. Is this a long video? Might be. Don't know. But I am not going to use other people's beautiful autistic faces in my thumbnail to advertise this video because all I need is mine. No, I've been seeing me in a lot of people's thumbnails, and I'm like, that is good advertisement. Like, what is that girl doing? Like, I need to know what she's doing. She's autistic? What a fucking loser. No, it's good. No hate. No hate. All love. This is all love. This is all good, important stuff. Thank you guys for letting me have the space to share my thoughts. This might backfire. People might absolutely hate this and go, I hate this even more, Paige, and I hate you even more, Paige. I feel better now. I think that doing this and having to say this and looking into the camera and like explaining myself and why I do what I do, like I feel like it's frustrating to me. I feel frustrated. I feel like it's stupid. It makes me mad. But I see that it's necessary. And that's sad. Anyway, you can support me by liking this video, commenting on it. I really appreciate it. Every share helps me out. It's a free way to help me out. If you want to pay for anything, you could definitely purchase a copy of my book. I also did the audio version, and so it's me talking, and it's cheaper, and it's also me talking, so if that's easier for you. I don't sound like this, though. I have to speak a lot quieter, a lot slower in my audiobook, or else people can't understand what I'm saying. Even when I spoke like this in my audiobook, the director still said I was speaking pretty quickly. I'm like, yeah, you don't know. I'm literally trying to slow down so hard for you right now. So people are like, it doesn't sound like you. I'm like, yeah, that's because I'm using my narrator voice. But it is me, promise. And if you want to come and hang out Wednesday, May 22nd, you can go and secure your spot in my profile. And I appreciate it. And I cannot wait to see you. I literally love this book. I'm so happy that it exists. And if you're autistic, I think that you might like it. If I don't know what's going on, and if I don't like something, I don't want it to be over there. I want to watch it. I want to monitor it. I want it to be right here with me so I can help it. So I can say, "Oh, what are you doing there?" So I can share my feedback and opinions, because nothing is done without community, especially learning about autism. When each one of us, I'm starting to vibe with the puzzle piece, man, because I'm literally like, each one of us is a puzzle piece to the puzzle of autism. I don't think that's what they meant with the whole puzzle piece thing, but I'm like, we are all the puzzle pieces. We can't keep cutting people out. I'm sick of the fucking let's cancel them because we don't like them. Like, I'm really excited. I told you a little bit about this business course that I'm taking, but I'm actually really pumped because, guys, I've been doing this for 4 years, just talking, right? And like I said, I'm not a business. I'm not a corporation, and I don't communicate enough with y'all. Branding, I'm getting a logo. If you guys have any ideas, because I haven't solidified this yet, but I'm making a logo. I want some kind of icon that has not my name on it, like some kind of like some picture, some like a bug or like an animal, like a fruit. I don't know, something that's like, that's Paige, something new. That's like, that's Paige. You could put it on shirts and stuff and be like, it's Paige Layle's brand, but it's like a thing. And I want that thing to symbolize me in ways I want it to mean. I want it to be that thing. I want it to be like passionate, cute, but like could kill you. Let me know if there's any mascot that you like, that you would put on merch, that you'd like, I'd wear that, Paige, if that's your vibe. So the thing about fictional characters and Armchair diagnosing fictional characters, I've been having conversations about why that is okay and why like diagnosing and talking about real people isn't. And it seems like mostly because people think like, you don't know the person, you can't just diagnose them with something. But I think that that's something that I understand, and I want everyone to understand, and I hope that people on the internet can have, enough internet literacy to know that you don't know a person just from what you see online. And I know that I don't know a person just from what I see online. That's where I'm coming from. I'm not saying that that person's autistic. I am talking to other autistic people though and saying like, but the thing about fictional characters, diagnosed fictional characters, I don't think that fictional characters
can be diagnosed with things because they're made up by a person who doesn't know the things, who doesn't, you know, they're just made up by a person, and that person probably isn't super smart on those things and has those characters diagnosed. Unless they know a lot about the disorder that the person has, they're not going to write accurately. They're going to stereotype because they're just writing about shit they don't even know. There's a reason why the person that wrote for Big Bang Theory says, like, no, Sheldon's not autistic. Because literally pretty much every character on that show is autistic. The guy that wrote the script doesn't know that. Why he would write an entire story filled with autistic characters and not say that they were autistic. I wonder what his real life was like and what his inspiration was like and the people he's been around and the conversations that he's had. How does he know all of this? If he's not looking at autism and doing a lot of autism research, and it's just stereotypes of stuff that he doesn't really know. And that's why he's not saying that they're autistic, because he's saying, like, I don't know enough about autism. Just because the guy that wrote it doesn't know enough about autism to say that doesn't mean that autistic people can't see that and know that. But still, if the person that's writing about a disorder doesn't actually know about the disorder, then the character's not going to accurately have the disorder. And that's why I feel like diagnosing fictional characters doesn't actually work, because fictional characters don't have lifelong trauma and all of those events that happen. The author doesn't take into account like the exact genes from the parents and what the child could have, and then that made them have autism. And so like that parent was probably the autistic one. Like maybe a few do, but they are the outliers. A lot of authors are experts in their field and write books, and for real. However, I still can see a show with autistic characters go, those are autism traits. Even if someone goes, no, they're not. The director of Big Bang Theory actually said that Sheldon's not autistic. The director of Big Bang Theory knows less about autism than I do. Just traits. It's just talking about traits, and they're all superficial. Yes, and that's because like to get an autism diagnosis, it can't be this superficial. That's what you go to the doctor to figure out. Tell them about all of the superficial things, and then they tell you why and what's going on inside. But if people don't notice that there are superficial things, they're not going to notice that there's something inside. Like I said before, I would never come online or anything and be like, this person, this is their name, this is who they are, and they're autistic, and this is what, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to people and telling them that I think that they're autistic. The only time I speculate about autism and other people is in literal famous people who are in the media that everyone is watching and can see and can get info from and get inspiration from. And just as another extra like layer when it comes to the media, when it comes to actors, you know, dancers, singers, a lot of creative people and creative minds, people that go into those fields for their lives, are autistic or have ADHD or both. I only care to hear debunks from people who are in those professions, because as someone who's in those professions, I'm definitely right to me. Like that's, in my opinion, from my perspective, in my life, that's what I have seen. Obviously, talk about fictional characters and their autistic traits, like fucking yeah. Because I'm not trying to get to know the person and diagnose them and help them with their life and have their like autism, you know, like help that person. I don't care to learn a lot about their life because that's not what it is. I don't care to diagnose people. If celebrities want to talk about autism, they come to me and message me themselves. A lot of actors, guys, a lot of actors that don't get diagnosed until they're like literally 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, because we don't talk about stuff like this because we're afraid to, because people say it's a no-no. I, Paige Layle, am sincerely sorry. No, I'm not sorry to anyone I offend by speculating about autism. I mean, I guess I'm sorry if you think that like I'm invasive on your life. No, I'm not even sorry if a celebrity thinks that me looking at them and thinking I see autism in them is invasive, because it's not. Watching them on TV, that they put themselves on TV, is not invasive. Speculating, like making an opinion from what I see on TV, is not invasive. That's what everyone does. Things that I will apologize for is if I've ever harmed individual people. Who have I talked about? Yeah, I keep just talking to myself, and I'm just like, well, but you know, but there's another point that I heard and that I thought, oh, you know, I still disagree. So I'm saying this so people don't talk about it in the comments, because I know that this is, I don't know if this is going to be good or bad, but I don't care. Talk like you're canceled. Act like you're canceled. I'm already canceled. I'm already canceled. Say it anyway. Did you care so much about, like, that's not how the system, I know the system works this way, but you don't want it to work this way. So then why do you care if the system works a way that celebrities, like, we can just talk about their lives or whatever? Why do you care? Shouldn't we be nice to the celebrities? Shouldn't we care about their personal lives and their privacy? And the answer is yes. I totally see the hypocrisy. That's why I'm saying it right now, because I just noticed the hypocrisy and was like, is that hypocritical of me? Because it definitely is a little bit hypocritical of me. And the reality is that the celebrities are never going to see the content I post. But if they did, it would not be the worst thing they saw on the internet about them that day. I honestly don't know if that would hurt people. I don't know if I'm hurting a celebrity and getting like way too in on their lives when I'm not. Like when I'm just like seeing things that like anyone could see. I'm just seeing it. Like they can disagree. Okay, so I talked myself out of that one. I thought of a thing and I just talked myself out of it. And then there's what I think. Like there are a lot of celebrities and famous people that I think are autistic. I've like never been like, these are the people I think are autistic, you know? I think I've only talked about random people that are famous, like maybe. I could only think of 2 times right now, probably others, but been like they might be autistic or whatever. But there's so many people that I think are autistic, and I don't say anything. I don't, because like, I'm like, why would they care about my opinion? I can see traits and be like, hey, like if that trait were, you know, part of your life all the time, and it was a pattern, and it like really took over a lot of your life, and it was present before when you were a kid too, and blah, blah, like then it might be autism. Like obviously that's fucking implied. This is the end of the video song. This video is to tell you the video's done. If you're hearing this, it's because the video's done. Go watch another one. Boop, boop. Have a good day. Love you so much. Bye.